The People's Choice from Mason's Edition, over the hill, Grahamstown, Baintown, from everywhere they're coming. They're the People's Choice, the Saxon Superstars.
Hello? Who's in the morning?
Bruce!
Yeah, your Jordan is finishing.
We know you're watching. We can feel you. We know that you are afraid. Afraid of us. You're afraid of change. You're afraid of what happens when the Bahamian people find out that you've lied to them. I'm going to hang up this phone, and we are going to tell them everything. We are going to tell them who they are and what you took from them. Change is not coming. Change is here.
Fellow Bahamians, you have been lied to. You have been told that you are poor, that you have no wealth and no resources. You have been told that your natural resources are worth nothing. You've been told that even if you had natural resources that only the wealthy could afford to mine and process it. While you were struggling to survive, they were secretly shipping billions of tons of your natural resources out of the country. It's time to learn the truth. It's time to end this myth. There is a dangerous cohort called the oligarchs. They have been using your beloved politicians as puppets to do their bidding. To distract you with rallies, handouts and jobs while they ran off with your riches. So the question is, how do you get your resources out of the hands of the oligarchs and into the hands of the Bahamian people? It's easier than you think. Today, I have come as the bearer of good news. And that is that change is not coming, change is here.
It will be wrong of me to leave this mic without saying to Britain and everybody else who can, we do not mourn the death of a colonizer and a murderer who came and killed our people, and she's wearing proudly a stolen goods on her head. We have nothing to do with the queen. Renaka spedi but ba ukwa re bolele selaka bona mara wena o ke le khodu le le bolaileng batho ba rena ba utswa di minerale tsa mo Africa, ba utswa di minerale tsa all over Africa. Today people tweet, hey we mourn the queen. We were colonized by the leadership of Britain that killed our people. So we must not be asked to do wrong things here.
Second World War, there was an uprising by the Kikuyu people who wanted their land back. The Kikuyu were herded into concentration camps and fortified villages, almost the entire population of over 1 million people. People were systematically tortured to death. They invented a new kind of pliers whose purpose was first to crush men's testicles and then to cut them off. They raped women with bayonets. They raped men. Similarly, a favoured technique was to ram sand up the rectum with a stick. Sometimes they were rolled up in barbed wire and kicked around the compound until they bled to death. Some of the British soldiers boasted about this. This is within living memory. The Colonial Secretary lied about it. The papers documenting it were burnt. The impact of the rich and powerful nations has been so phenomenally murderous and destructive that it has been completely airbrushed from our national consciousness.
4 tons of solid gold, worth over $370 billion at today's gold prices. The Bank of England Nominees Limited was established to hide the Queen's investments. Secrecy about her wealth protects her. Government and banking officials inform the Queen about where to invest her wealth. That's called insider trading, and it's illegal. But the Queen gets away with it scot-free. Why? Because she's the Queen, and she's immune to prosecution. The Queen owns more than 300 residences, including castles and palaces, crown jewels, over 27,000 masterpieces, prize racehorses, and a fleet of Bentleys and Rolls-Royces. Her colossal wealth also includes crown land and investments that she inherited from her black nobility ancestors. The Queen's Crown estate includes over 50% of the UK's coastline, as well as Regent Street and Windsor Great Park. Her trillions in wealth are passed down to her descendants, untaxed. Would British tourism collapse if the monarchy was abolished? No, statistically, Buckingham Palace doesn't even make the top 20 list of tourist attractions.
Do you know how much the Queen is worth? 17 trillion pounds. That's $30 trillion. She could end world poverty tomorrow.
Besides insider trading and tax-free income, the slave trade and drug trade. Queen Elizabeth I started the British slave trade in 1564. As head of the Church of England, her slave trading of African blacks upset the moral foundations of the Church. Queen Elizabeth II is now head of the Church of England. 200 years after the slave trade was abolished, the Church was pressured into confessing its horrific crimes and apologizing for profiting from the African slave trade. At first, the Queen and the Church only admitted to owning slaves and plantations, but the public soon discovered that the Church had given their blessing to something far worse. The Church had approved the beating, mutilation, rape, kidnapping, and murder of tens of millions of Africans by declaring that Africans had no soul. This gave the Church a divine license to profit from their diabolical crimes. Even more lucrative than Queen Elizabeth's slave trade was Queen Victoria's drug trade. Opium was grown and manufactured in the British-owned opium factories of British India. China banned the importation of opium, but once the British monarch secured a drug trade monopoly, over 17,000 illegal chests of opium worth millions were forced onto the Chinese population. The British waged 3 drug wars on China to force them to pay for the illegally imported opium. China's emperor didn't stand a chance against the British East India Company gunboats and Royal Navy. The British destroyed, plundered, looted, and raped their way along the coast of China until there was nothing left to loot or plunder. On August 29, 1842, the Treaty of Nanking forced the Chinese government to pay £15 million to the British merchants to open up its ports to opium trade and to cede Hong Kong to the British. This was the ugly origin of Hong Kong's 155 years as a stolen British Crown colony.
There are people who believe that they have a God-given right to rule over others. They believe that their outward appearance is superior to all others. They harbor selfish ambitions to be rich and to have power over what they describe as common people. They lie, cheat, steal, strangle, stab, and slash their way to power. They believe that their actual willpower, what the British occultist Aleister Crowley described as the will of Thelema, the royal will, must be obeyed. Literally millions of people have been slaughtered at the behest of the royal lust for war. And thousands of people have been assassinated so that demonic dukes and killer queens can reign supreme.
Good afternoon, Bahamas, and welcome. It is so good to have all of you here. This is Sunday, and it is the day, the dreaded day we know is 9/11, which was a day that changed the world forever. And this is a day that will be remembered by all around the world. It is also a day where much of the world is in mourning because the beloved of many queen has died. I will say that um, I was someone who had interactions with the queen before. I actually sang for the queen. Interestingly, I sang for the queen, and that's before I really knew about the full history of what uh, many around the world from many different races have gone through because of the empire. I received my English, my education in England, my legal education. Of course, I studied many other things. I've studied computer science. I've studied business on a bachelor level. I've also studied on a master's level theology. Um, but I received much education in England, and so I know England. I got to live there for a few years while I studied and educated myself. I know how it works. However, I will not mourn a colonizer, and that is my stance. Were I the Prime Minister of the Bahamas at this time, of course we would send condolences. Of course we would follow all of the diplomatic rules. But I will say that at this time, I am not. And I will say that I will not mourn a colonizer. We have to be real about what we have gone through in this time. The Queen has done nothing to stop evil that took place during her time. She has not spoken out against it, and she's done nothing against it. Persons are saying that she was a person of influence, and if you were a person of influence, why didn't you speak out against the atrocities that were happening to blacks around the world? Some of it um, by your country. I do not mourn colonizers. I will not mourn a colonizer. There are many persons around the world who have different views. I mourn and I feel sorrow when anyone dies, particularly anyone who is not in the Lord. Anyone who is a human being. But there are some human beings that we as human beings will not celebrate. We will not celebrate or mourn the death of Adolf Hitler. You will not celebrate or mourn similar persons like Osama bin Laden. We did not mourn the death of Saddam Hussein. We did not mourn the death of Papa Doc. There are certain people whose death you don't mourn. And I think that had the Queen done certain things, like give the people who were colonized and who were enslaved before that their reparations, then we could have had a different conversation. We could have said, wow, that is a person who wanted change. Had these countries received reparations for what they went through for the genocide, the killing, the enslavement, and the colonization, then we could have had a different conversation. Some people say that she was a figurehead during the 1900s. And I will say to you the reality of it. The Queen is just that, a figurehead. the queen and the monarch has little more use than a figurine that you would put on your shelf in your house. The idea of the monarch in this day and time is the most ridiculous idea in the history of mankind. I know these are strong words, but it is the truth. I don't mind standing by the truth. It is the most ridiculous idea in the history of mankind. The idea of the monarch is that the monarch has no power. The monarch has no authority, not even over their own lives. They can't name their own children. They have no say in their affairs. But even if they did, you have no say over your own country. And so, why are you called a monarch? Why are you called a king or a queen if you have no? This concept shows how easily deceived even the most educated of people are. It is the most ridiculous concept in the history of the world that, hey, we will just have a queen and we will call her queen and she will rule over nothing. And there's a theory in that they teach you in law school, and it's called parliamentary sovereignty. And it means that the parliament is sovereign. Saying that the queen is a queen is like saying that Ronald McDonald is the owner of McDonald's. This concept has expired. Maybe our grandparents could understand this ridiculousness. It's like lying to our children and saying that the tooth fairy is real or that Santa Claus is real. What is that? This generation is the generation of the information age, and we don't understand those concepts. That is not for the future world. And the fact that our cowardly leaders would allow us to stay in that position for so long is disturbing to the new generation that is coming and that is here. To say that we are an independent nation and then at section 71 of our article 71 of our constitution, they hit it right in the exact middle of the constitution at article 71. They said that the queen is the sovereign head of state. She has all executive authority over your prime minister, over your governor general, over everyone. The queen doesn't rule her own country, but you have her as our head of state in writing. This is utterly ridiculous. And I am so saddened today that we did not have a real change of government in this country, because I looked forward to doing what Barbados did and stepping away from the colonizer, I looked forward to turning our backs on the colonizers. The colonizers who Mahatma Gandhi had to fight against, who freedom fighters around the world had to fight against. It is time for us to stand. Since our leaders of this previous generation were so weak, maybe now that the queen is dead, they can stand up and say it's time for change. It's time to move on. It is time to have sense. I saw people on Facebook, giving honor to a colonizer who colonized us, who did not stand up against any wrong or any wrongdoing. But now we move on to her son. I'm going to show you a video of what happens next with her son. And there's something interesting in this video that I want you to notice, and I'm going to see who gets it. All of our people swear allegiance to the Queen. Let's see who he is going to swear allegiance to. Watch this video.
About planning to honor the Queen, what more can we expect over the next couple of days?
Well, the next couple of days, there are really two operations in process. There's Operation London Bridge, which is the Queen's body currently at Balmoral will move to Holyrood Castle in Edinburgh and then be brought down to London to Lion State in Westminster Hall. But then there's Operation Spring Tide. This is what happens to King Charles. Tomorrow, a really ancient ritual, the Accession Council. He'll be meeting just up the road from me at St James's Palace, 150 senior parliamentarians to whom he will swear an oath of allegiance to Parliament. This is in St James's Palace, built in 1531. They will be taking a window out of the palace, laying red carpet onto the balcony where the king will be proclaimed.
Daisy McAndrew, thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as you see that this is the next process that's about to happen. And so the king is now going to, the king of nothing, is now going to swear allegiance to Parliament, which is the people. Did you see it? The king is now, Operation Springtide, I think you can call it that, is going to swear allegiance to the Parliament. The Parliament is the people. And this is how the crown represents the people, which I've been telling you a while ago. The crown represents the people. Here, we just swear allegiance to the Queen. And that's it. But the Queen doesn't swear allegiance back to us. But in England, that is not the case. Does anyone know who this is? Of course, you know the lady to your left is the Queen, and the lady to your right, who is she? It's interesting. Who is this woman right here? She's a very interesting woman, a very powerful woman. Does anyone know who she is? Anyone? I happen to know who she is. And she's a woman that I respect very highly, a very strong woman. I'll show you another picture, and maybe you can guess from this other picture. That's her. Can anyone say who this woman is right here? She's a very interesting woman. I can't see your answers. Let me see your answers for a minute. Does anyone know who she is? Someone says Jenna. Someone says Sarah. All right. Someone says my good cousin, Fergie. Someone says the new PM. No, no, it's not the new wizard. The lizard of the what? I don't know this woman, like Clinton said. All right. So I'm going to show you a little video of who that woman is. She is a very interesting woman. And she's a woman who stood up against the nonsense that we're entertaining. Again, I'm proud of this woman. And now you're going to learn who she is. She's a senator from Australia. There she is.
Lydia's Hall, do solemnly and sincerely affirm to prayer that I will be faithful and I bear true allegiance to the colonising Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Because she is, and I was simply stating a fact because First Nations people in Australia have been oppressed since the invasion of our country from the colonisers. For over 240 years, we have faced major injustice, oppressive regimes, racist policies. We need to get rid of the Queen as the head of this country. She's not elected. I had to repeat the oath because they wouldn't let me sit. They wouldn't let me be a senator.
If you would meet Queen Elizabeth one day, what would you want to say to her?
You owe us a lot of money because you stole all of our land and all of our resources.
There is one female liberal from. And so now you can see why I say that this woman is a very strong woman. And that is because she stood up. She stood up. She is a senator in Australia and she refused to take the oath. And she changed the oath and called the Queen a colonizer. And we use that word loosely, but we don't know the terror that was brought upon our people and other peoples by colonialists. And it is no less terrible than what dangerous men like Attila the Hun has done over history, that Hitler has done. It is no different. And so I will say again, like I said in the beginning, I do not mourn colonizers. And as simple as that. There's something called a Stockholm syndrome. And it is a syndrome when a person actually falls in love with their captors, their hostage takers, etc. The persons who are abusing them. It is a sickness. That's why they call it Stockholm syndrome. And we need to wake up and speak out against evil that has happened over history, the same way we can speak out against evil that certain men did. What happened to our people is wrong. And it is time for our governments to stand up and ask for reparations. Okay? And that is it. And so, of course, our Prime Minister will have to go and be there. We are part of the Commonwealth and we expect him to be there. We don't expect a large contingent spending a bunch of money on this. But if the Prime Minister wants to go, he's free to go. The Governor General, of course, should go. But all of these people trailing behind them is unnecessary, and we shouldn't be spending money on any of that. Ladies and gentlemen, the Queen is dead. I have no interest in that. I have interest in the people of my country. I have interest that finally we can be empowered. Finally, we can wake up and know who we are and know our value. Finally. For you to worship a person who has no authority over their own country, no power, it shows that we have some sickness. I don't know how best to describe this for you, but this is like calling someone your doctor, your physician, your family physician, who isn't really a doctor, isn't licensed, and doesn't even have a doctor's office, but they just call him a doctor. But he's not really a doctor. And he has no power to do a surgery on you. I don't know how else to describe this. But we have to wake up as a people. It's time for us to do what Barbados and other nations did. Wake up. Take back your identity. Stand up for your people. Empower your people. We are a nation of kings and queens. All of us. And this is the promise that was given to us. This land is our promised land. It is time for us to stop worshiping politicians. And it is one of our goals to take power away from the politicians. If you go to our website, you will see our vision, and you will see our vision for good governance. And you will see that our job, our first initial job, is to take power away from the Prime Minister, take power away from the members of Parliament, and give it to the people. And you will see the plan and the vision we have for doing that. Shake up yourselves. Stop worshiping these people who has damned us for so many years. This is how the priests were able to molest our boys. Molest our boys. Millions of boys were molested. And every time something came up, you can't talk. Don't touch God anointed. You can't touch the priest. It's going to make the church look bad. People worshipped the priest while he raped and brutalized their children. Think about that. Stop worshiping politicians. Were I to become prime minister and president immediately, we will go right back to referendum. President of this nation, do not worship me. Democracy is about the people. And it is time we turn this country over to the people. We know exactly what to do with this nation. We need to benefit from this nation. Politics means the affairs of the people. It is time to give this country to the people. It is time for the first time for us to have a Bahamian prime minister. And there are some people who are admitting that, yes, we had all of our previous prime ministers with foreign roots. Yes, that is true. You can check all of their roots and you see that they are foreigners. But look at what that has done to us. Now we have a nation that is geared towards benefiting foreigners over Bahamians. Bahamians are treated like they are nothing in this nation. They are discriminated against. They're treated like trash. Foreigners don't have to follow the law. They have a different rule for foreigners. You're seeing it with this Crown Land issue. And the illegal immigrants are all over our Crown Land. And no one dares touch them. But Bahamians, they are attacking. When the Bahamian has a legal right to be there and the government knows that, and that's why they can't move us. And we ain't going nowhere. Because that's our Crown Land. And what does the Crown mean? The people. It's our land that we inherited according to our Constitution. If a Bahamian and a foreigner is going after a piece of land, like remember, one in Luther and Disney were going after a piece of land, he said, you know what? I knew, based on all history in this country and how this country works, Disney was going to get it. And so I went and bought shares in Disney. because I knew how this country works. Bahamians will be arrested for selling coconuts. You go on Cowpen Road, they're selling everything. They say it's a humanitarian situation with them. These people are not as poor as you think in many instances. Many instances. I don't know many Bahamians who have $8,000 to pay to make a trip to any other country. Not many. To move permanently. If people have $8,000 like that, they got some money. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not mourn colonizers. The Queen has done nothing for us. They're talking about the service that she's rendered. What service have you rendered to us? Now, we've used the Privy Council for our court matters, which we must all acknowledge. We have used the Privy Council. But a change is coming. But what service? They have benefited from us. The colonizers have raped us, robbed us, abused us, murdered us, killed us, genocide, used our natural resources, and then we mourn them? Wake up, Bahamas. It's time to change your thinking. It's time to have pride. It's time for a change. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I am sorry that I had to say the truth to you, but I promise to always keep the Bahamian people informed and let you know when the wrong thinking is going forward. For those of us who are celebrating those persons who raped and robbed us and benefited from us, enslaved us, let me help you understand something. There are some people who say that our own black people sold us into slavery. I want you to pay close attention to what I'm about to say to you because this is the truth. Our own black people technically did sell us into slavery, but technically they didn't. Many don't understand this. Let me put this in perspective for you. When the colonizers came to Africa, and Nelson Mandela talked about this before, I heard Dr. Miles talk about this before. When the colonizers came to Africa, they didn't come talking. They came smiling, they're nice, beautiful smile, friendly. They found out where the resources were. They found out what was going on. Oh, these are people. Oh, we can take these people. And then they started to murder, and they would wipe out an entire nation, entire village, entire country, entire town. They would wipe out an entire people. And then they would go to the neighbors next door and say, do you see what we did? Because they came with guns and cannons, et cetera, and it was hard to fight against them with, bows and arrows and spears and sticks. It was difficult. And so they would wipe out everyone, just total obliteration, burn it down, kill everyone. And then they would go to the people next door and they would say, do you see what we did next door? Now, we're going to do that to you too, unless you do what we say. Any good leader would not want to see their people obliterated and destroyed, so of course they will hear them out. And they heard them out. And they would say, listen, we're not going to kill your people. But what we want you to do is go to your next door neighbor, the next neighbor, and get us some slaves, some people to work. You don't have to touch your people. Go to your neighbor and touch their people. And of course, any leader who finds himself in that situation would say, I don't have to touch my people. I can save myself from total annihilation. And you're going to pay me to do this? and give me some guns, those weapons I saw you had, it would be very difficult for any leader at that time to say no to that. So yes, they went and they went to their neighbors' children, and then they took them and gave them to slavery. And then what they would do is that they would go to the neighbor now who is seeing these their own black people coming and taking their children and taking them away, and they would say, "Hey, I see your children are being taken away," because they always hide their hands. Kind of what Brave Davis always do by putting other people in front to do, the dirty work, like Jobed Kobe, etc. They would say, "Hey, these people, what they are doing to you, we can give you guns and food, etc. But you can go to them and you can bring some of their children and we'll take them away." Knowing the reputation of these people talking to them and having such enmity now for their neighbors, of course they would agree to do it. And of course they would go to their neighbors and they would start taking their neighbors. Now, they were taking each other because they knew they were going into slavery. They didn't know. But there's an understanding. The slavery that took place in the New World, in the Americas, had never taken place in the world before. They could not imagine that level of slavery. Before, in many nations, you became a slave, they call it a bond servant, etc., and you could work your way out of slavery. You could only be a slave for a certain period of time, and then you had to be let go. And many of these leaders thought, well, we can't feed all of these people anyway, so they get to eat, and they get to have a good life. And so that's why they agreed to do some of these things. I don't think that they were right, but I'm saying that it's not the full story. It's not black and white that you've been hearing. And so slavery that we went through in the Americas, where humans were treated like animals, it wasn't like that before. If you study history, you'll understand that slaves were different. So for those who read the Bible, you remember the Bible story where the slave owed his master money, and the slave, asked for mercy, and he was given mercy. If the slaves didn't make money, how could he owe his master money? And then he left, and he saw another slave who owed him money, and he went and beat up that slave and said, "You owed me money." And the master brought him back. You see all this money talk going around? Slavery was different in those days. And so I want to summarize it and go and study slavery from the past. The slavery they experienced in the Americas, it was hardly what you would have experienced in the days at the time. So most people, those leaders didn't understand what we call slavery today. They couldn't imagine what was going on. And it could only go on in the New World because there was no one to see it. And so no one knew what was happening, other than the colonizers, across the waters. It was a whole new world. But this is the diabolical part. Remember, I started by telling you that they would tell them to go to their neighbors and get some people. And then they would go to the neighbors and say, "Hey, look what they're doing to you. Come, bring some of their people to us." And then it would cause enmity, because if you came and kidnapped my child, there's nothing you can say to me. There's nothing you can say to cause me to forgive you. I just want revenge. If you came and took my wife from my house, there's nothing that we can talk about. And it caused enmity between them. And so when the colonizers were finished, what they did was they took those two nations that were next to each other, that had this enmity between each other, put them together, and made them one nation. And then they would fight and be unstable for hundreds of years. Some people ask, why are they having so much civil war in Africa? That is why. I hope you understand. Yes, black soul and other blacks into slavery, but it didn't go the way they're telling you. It was more diabolical than that. Stop falling for the story that's on the table. They're not telling you the full story. They're telling you things to justify evil. So I end by saying that I do not mourn colonizers. It is time for us to become a republic. It must happen. It is time for us to stand up. It is time for us to stand up on our own legs. The Queen has done nothing for us. Independence was thrust on us. What you need to understand is that independence isn't something that Pillen and those fought for. That process had already started under the UBP when they started with self-governance and et cetera, et cetera. After the World Wars, Britain was basically bankrupt. They could not maintain the colonies anymore. And so they chose the ones they wanted to keep, and the other ones they wanted to let go of. They said, listen, you have to become independent. And they gave us what they call the Independence Order. America has a Declaration of Independence. We have the Independence Order because it was thrust on us. And so that is why the Queen is still the head of state. No one gives you freedom. If someone gives you freedom, it can be taken away. This is a rule in jurisprudence. Any freedom given can be taken away. If you got independence by an act of parliament in England, they can take it back. So we're not really independent, especially if we put in our laws that the Queen is the executive. Think Bahamas. It's time for us to stand up. England has done nothing for us. Someone said, well, who's going to protect us? Listen, it is in the interest of our neighboring countries, particularly America, to make sure that we are protected from all enemies. The same reason that they have given us pre-clearance is because they want to make sure that anyone who's coming in from a country right next to them, that they are able to stop them from coming in. They're able to check them before they come in. Pre-clearance does not benefit us. It benefits America. So someone say, oh, if we don't do this and that, they'll take away pre-clearance. That is a very slim chance because pre-clearance does not benefit us. It benefits them. That is how they're able to protect their borders, because we are close to them. More understanding on that another time. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to get to the point where we are a real nation. A real nation. It's time to stand up. We need real leadership. We don't need these people born in the 50s and 60s because they are still enamored with the Queen. They are still enamored with the monarchs. They don't see Bahamians as being able to do anything, and that's why the foreigner gets a consulting job. They come here, and then they hire the Bahamians who really can do the job because the foreigner don't really know nothing about the Bahamas. And they get all the money, and the Bahamians get to be the slaves. It's time to change. It's time to change the Bahamas from a plantation into a nation of kings, into a nation of kings and queens, of people who know their worth, of people who know their value. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you're ready for a new and different Bahamas. We have no animosity to anyone from the past. We're not holding on to anything that has happened in the past. We're not making any excuse for anything because of anything that any politician would have done. But what we need are new leaders that have vision that can take us to the next Bahamas, because we are so close and we have all the natural resources to make this happen. Any one of our natural resources can benefit all Bahamians and make all of us wealthy and comfortable. Any one of them. They told you that I was selling dreams, but now they're confirming everything that I said. The carbon credits. They said it's worth $33 trillion. That's what the government said. That came out the government's mouth. Now they're saying it's worth $33 trillion. I would have never verbalized that because people they can't understand on that level. I couldn't verbalize that. I had to water it down. But now they're saying it. I talked to you about the treasure. Now you're seeing the discussion coming up, the treasure, billions of dollars worth of treasure. Ladies and gentlemen, we need real leadership. This is what we need.
I don't know how you did this in 50 years. You look at history. Who does this? Show me anybody else that has done this in 50 years. I'm waiting. Show them to me. This wasn't done by money. Money doesn't produce visions. Visions produce money. You've had leadership over here that were visionaries, great visionaries, and their vision was more about the people than the money, because you can't accomplish this in 50 years without loving your people first, because the people are the ones that's benefiting from this. Look at your health care. Look at your road system. Look at your highway system. Look at your airports. Who does this in 50 years? But who benefits? You're going to care about those people. It's something to be learned about what's been done over here that could be duplicated in the world, because there's people with this much money. You just don't have people with this much love for their people.
So, ladies and gentlemen, their leaders were not educated. They were not smarter than anybody else. All they had was a love and a want to empower their people, and their whole focus every day when they wake up is about empowering their people. And I'm telling you, stop falling for the traps every election. And they present this dream team to you that can do this and that. They fail every time because it isn't about your skill. You do what you're told when you get in. It doesn't matter how much experience you have. Wake up, Bahamas. Wake up. It's time for us to move to the next level. And so I just want to, before I go on, because we got to talk about this invasion and the domes and what's happening, I'm going to end on time today because there's a few things happening that we want you to be aware of. And one of those things is that our women are about to meet. Women are meeting at 6:30. Women are meeting at 6:30 in short order. Some have already left to head there. Women are meeting at 6:30 at the Anatole Rogers Stadium. And so our Women's Association is meeting, our Women's Alliance, we call it, they are meeting, and they're getting together. And I'm going to address those women. So come on down. It's open to the public. Come and see the installation of those who are nominated and placed as women who are ready to change this country and change the world. Make sure you are there. I'm going to address them and you, if you are there. And so make sure you are there. No, we won't be live because I'm live now. So I don't think we'll be live. But make sure you are there and see the address that we are going to give these women who want to stand up for this nation. Make sure you are there. All right? Also, ladies and gentlemen, we want you to remember that it's time for change. On this Wednesday, we are going to rock the house. We're going to rock this nation. We're going to demand change. We're going to show them that we have had enough. And we are going to show up to our house, our parliament, and we're going to be ready to make that change. So many people have told me that they are coming out. So many people have told me that they have taken vacation to make sure that they can be a part of this. Our country is under siege. Our country is under invasion right now. You are now learning and you are educated to the fact that we have so much natural resources and the same people are benefiting and we are getting nothing. It's time for change. It's time for change. Make sure you are there. Be there. I see someone of 8 a.m. on this. We're going to be there from 9:30. It's hard to bring people out on a weekday to be there on time for 8 a.m. We're going to be there from 9:30. We're going to rock the house. Some people want to go to work and check in and then come back. And some people don't want to drive through traffic because school is open now. So I don't know who put 8 a.m. on this, but we'll be there from 9:30. If you want to be there from 8 a.m., you're free to do so. I'll be there from 9:30. But we're going to go there And if you show up, we're going to bring that change. We'll talk about some more about that in a minute. And ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget that we are also going to be in Grand Bahama. We're going to have our meeting. And so make sure you're at our town hall meeting. We'll give you some more information about that shortly. Make sure you are there at our town hall meeting in Grand Bahama. We're all coming down. We're getting a plane. We're coming down, and we're going to deal with issues pertinent to Grand Bahama. Make sure you are there. Show us that you're serious. Grand Bahama has gone through so much. My Lord. My Lord. Grand Bahama has gone through so much. Passing back and forth between PLP and F&M and nothing. Nothing has happened to them. I will tell you that the Port Authority is going to be removed, and we're going to tell you just how. But we're not playing with them. They've done enough because they've not done enough. It's time to move on. The original founders turned it over to some children, and those children don't seem to have the vision that their fathers had. We need to move on for the betterment of Grand Bahama and for the country. We're going to make them an offer that they can't refuse. So that's at the Beauty Hall at 5 o'clock in Grand Bahama on the 18th of September. So that's where we're going to be. So please make sure you are there. We're looking forward to seeing all of you. We're looking forward to sharing that time with you. Make sure you are there, ladies and gentlemen. And so these are some of the upcoming events that we have. And so we want to make sure that you are there. Let's go downtown and block that out. Let's show them that we are awake. Let's show them that we are awake. I'm going to talk about those domes in a minute. And the situation with the dome show us that the PLP and F&M are all the same. The PLP and F&M are all the same. The F&M treated Abaconians like dirt. Took their families' bodies and just had them in a trailer and treated them like trash. Then allegedly took them, because I don't even believe no bodies were in those coffins, but took them and put some antique coffins in the ground, but didn't let the families come close. I mean, how sick could you be? Not a name on those coffins, and wouldn't let the people even come close to mourn, to come to the graves. And now they held a whole celebration for the people, the victims of Dorian. They after being chastised, they said, oh, it's going to be a fundraiser. We're going to raise funds. So you're going to spend millions of dollars to have this event and have events on several islands and then raise funds at the event? You might as well just give the people the millions of dollars. But anyway, did you notice that they've not yet said how much money they've raised at that event? Y'all notice? They thought y'all would just go away. Have you noticed that they have not said a word about how much money was raised at that event and what's going to happen with the money? Did you notice? We're going to get to all of that in a minute. I want to discuss this with you because this is important. A citizenship bill is about to pass, and in pieces. They're not going to pass the whole thing anymore. So don't fall for that trick when they come and tell you, oh, we're not going to do the asylum bill anymore. It's not just about asylum. There's many other parts to this that is diabolical. That is a danger, and a clear and present danger to our very existence, including belonging status for these illegal immigrants. It is a clear and present danger. And Bahamas, we are in trouble. You may not know how serious of trouble that we are in. But you better wake up. You better wake up. I want to show you, all of a sudden, Louis Georges is now confessing his intentions. Remember, he posted on his Facebook page that the Bahamas is very underpopulated. They're encouraging people to come here. They're fighting, lying on this country, going to the senator and the House in the United States, going to the UN, fighting for illegal activities in this country to happen, fighting for our land to be taken away, fighting against the interests of this Bahamas. And I told y'all, he told me face to face that he is going to be prime minister of this country. That is his intention. That is his goal. And to accomplish that, they want to flood this country with people. And the government is falling for it. These fools are using it to get votes, but they don't realize that that is how the Bahamian people is going to be run over. So y'all don't have to come out on Wednesday, But if you don't, I want you to take a good look at your child. And I want you to think about the country that you're going to leave them in. Because they are in trouble. It's Luby Georges. I'll be stopping it and playing it. Well, I'm going to play it first and then I'm going to go back through it.
12 political aspirations. You are one for the assembly or you want to be a part of the Senate? I love politics. That's not the question, man. Stop being smart. Do you intend to offer yourself if the opportunity arises? Should the opportunity arises that I feel makes sense. And an opportunity did come about things in proper perspective here. I was offered an opportunity to run on your decline position. If I feel as if it would put me in a better position. We have expanded so much so that we stopped using the ATRs. And now the 130 seat Bahamas Air jet fly to keep goes in foot. Regularly. So now you, at the ticket prices around $500 to $600. Yeah. So you do the math. Every week on a Tuesday and every week on a Saturday, twice per week, do the math yourself. $500 times 130, twice a week. HHG going to you? I mean, a woman get big up for anyone who wants to make it happen. And your child becomes a citizen. Yeah, next year, you can run for Parliament in my country. Just as you try going down Haiti, just your man, your family, right? Just as you go down here, Bahamian. Yes. That's how I go. You Bahamian citizenship is not going to. No, citizenship is like popcorn. No. Why you don't go back to open a business with me? Why don't you go back to business? You have any relevance right now? Do you have any relevance? I have plenty, but you don't go back to some business and they try to go there. I am from Nassau. Camp Road, originally, you came in, your daddy came from. My daddy's from the northern part of Haiti. Which?
Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to dissect that for you. I see some say they don't understand what's being said. Mom, you better understand. You better listen good. There's a plot to take over this country. And Bahamians are sitting down and allowing it to happen. And our politicians are taking money to allow this to happen. Let's dissect this.
Aspirations. You are one for the assembly or you want to be a part of the Senate? I love politics. That's not the question, man. Stop being smart. Do you intend to offer yourself if the opportunity arises? Should an opportunity arises that I feel makes sense. And an opportunity did come about things in proper perspective here. I was offered an opportunity to run.
He asked him if he wants to run, and you can see that he was playing around the words. He was playing all around the words. Someone says the audio is echoing. I can't say why it's echoing. I am so sorry. I'll see when I play it again if I'm muted, if that'll help. But maybe I have my volume too loud. All right. Someone says there's feedback. All right, let me start over for y'all. I don't know if you got to hear it well. Let me know if there's still feedback. I'm going to play it again.
Aspirations. You are run for assembly or you want to be appointed to the Senate? I love politics. That's not the question, man. Stop being smart. Do you intend to offer yourself if the opportunity arises? Should an opportunity arises that I feel makes sense. And an opportunity did come about things in proper perspective here. I was offered an opportunity to run. And you declined. Position. If I feel as if it would put me in a better position. We have expanded so much so that we've stopped using the ATRs. and now the 130-seat Bahamas Air.
I want you to hear that he actually said just now that he was made an offer. He was made an offer to run. Who would have made him that offer? We can only assume. We can only assume that it was Philip Brave Davis and the BLP. He says he was made an offer to run. Wake up, Bahamas. I'll continue.
It would put me in a better position. We have expanded so much so that we've stopped using the ATRs, and now the 130-seat Bahamas Air jet flies into Cape Haitian, goes in full, comes out full regularly. So now you, at the ticket prices of around $500 to $600 to get to Haiti. Yeah. So you do the math. Every week on a Tuesday and every week on a Saturday, twice per week. Do the math yourself. $500 times 130 twice a week. Haitians ain't contributing. I mean, the woman get bigger for any.
So now he is talking about the flights. Remember, I've been warning you even before election. You're focusing on the boats. The real threat is they're coming by airplane. And they're coming with work permits and visas already. That's how they're coming. By flights and never leaving. He's talking about those busy flights. That's been going on for a long time. It's been happening. But they're coming and not leaving. Wake up. So he just described 260 individuals, because the flight comes in twice a week, he is saying, on Bahamas Air alone. But he didn't tell you about the other flights that they have. They have several other airlines that go to Haiti, Cape Haitian especially. They have other airlines that go to Haiti. And these people are coming in and they're not going back. And when you see their luggage, you can see that they didn't come here to go back. They bring in everything. Y'all better wake up. So he's saying that they contribute to the country by paying airline ticket. That ain't no real money. That's small money. That's small money. That if it's $500, and that shows you how much money these people have. Times 130 people, that's $65,000. That's $65,000 twice a week. Come on, that ain't no money. You know how much money we spend to repatriate them? It'll blow your mind. Plus, we put money in their pockets when they reach, but they don't talk about that. They feed them. And then when they repatriate them, they put some money in their pocket, $200, and send them home. Let me continue. Now they're talking about the fact that when you change this law, a woman can go and have a child with anyone and now give citizenship, etc. Willy-nilly. Watch this.
Twice a week. Haitians ain't contributing. I mean, the woman get bigger for any old Tom, Dick, and Harry, and the child becomes a citizen. And next 18 years, he can run for parliament in my country. Just as you try going down to Haiti. Your man, you're far from Haiti, right? Just as you go down there and try it. Bahamian.
So Luby was trying to say that Bahamians go to America, etc. And that, he said, just as you can go America, and their words, big up anyone and whatever. Let me say this. No one can go to America and become president. You cannot be naturalized into America and become president. It is impossible. It cannot happen. They put those protections in their law to protect them. The problem with the Bahamas, why it was not done before, the problem is that we had foreigners ruling us. And so they had to allow it to be in place for a foreigner to have any position in this country. But when we became independent, we didn't think about all of that. And so we left it the way it was. And so we got to be able to have a foreign governor general, because the Queen might say, I want a foreign governor general. And it was them who gave us a law. So, of course, they're going to make it so that any leadership position can be held by a foreigner. But, of course, now you see that Barbados have made changes. And guess what? I studied their referendum bill and the questions that was on there. It's very interesting. You should go and get it. I'll put it up on our website so you can see it. But one of the things they did with their bill, I'll pull it up for you. One thing they did with their bill was they made it clear that no, moving forward, no foreigner can become president in their country. They made that abundantly clear. No foreigner will become, let me share this for you. No foreigner will become president in their country. Let me show you where it is. You can go and do your research, pull it up yourselves. This is their referendum bill for them to pull up the whole thing for you. This is their referendum bill that is now a constitutional monarch, and they want to change. All right. All right. And so here we see that they did something different. They went and they had the courage to ask the questions. They had the courage to go and do a referendum. Brave Davis is going to drag his foot and hem and haw and do nothing. See here? Now, the law in Haiti is no foreigner can become president, prime minister, or have any public post. No foreigner. All right? No foreigner. And that's that. And so someone asked me about Brave Davis and the fact that Brave Davis brought up David Davis brought up this referendum thing to be able to go Republic. Yeah, he brought it up, but I don't trust Brave Davis and his crew to take us Republic. And the reason I don't is because they're not going to give us a kind of public that can keep them in check. I don't trust them to make the laws. I don't trust them to make this right. We want a real republic with checks and balances and good governance. We don't even want what Barbados has. We want a president, vice president, and a system similar, not the same, but similar to the United States of America, where we can hold people in checks, where we are voting for our public officials. If you want to be commissioner, not the prime minister put you there because you was his boy. You have to have shown that you can produce, and the people have to put you there. If you want to be a judge, like they do it in America, not the prime minister put you there. We need you to have shown your worth and your quality. Now, these are stuff that we'll discuss and let people vote on, but this is what we're going to put forward. We're not going to dictate to the people. But we need a real system of governance. We need real change. And so let me just continue with the rest of this nonsense from Louis Georges. And this interview alone should show you, I know it's cut up, it should show you the intentions of these people in our country. But this is going to backfire. Because any Haitian gang leader right now, any of them, can come to our country, become a citizen after being here for a certain amount of years, and become prime minister, become a governor general, take any position in this country. They can take over the whole House of Assembly and become prime minister and turn this country into a different country. If they outnumber us, they could have a referendum and say now the Bahamas is a colony of Haiti. Think. If they outnumber you, they can do that. It's time to close the door. We play the rest of this nonsense.
That's right, David. You think Bahamian citizenship is something to be... No, you think citizenship is like popcorn? No. What I do... Why you don't go back to Haiti and open a business, Louis? Why don't you stop being sexist? You have any relatives in Haiti right now? Sexist. Do you have any relatives in Haiti? I have plenty, but you're being sexist. Why don't you ever go back and set up a business in Haiti to try to improve there? Why you don't go to the United States to set up? You got I'm from Andros. I am from Nassau. Camp Road boy. But originally, you came... Your daddy... I originated from Nassau. Where your daddy brought you from? Where your daddy came from? My daddy's from the northern part of Haiti. Which...
You heard him showing that he's being sexist because they are pushing for these law change. This law, this bill, this citizenship bill they're trying to bring has nothing to do with gender equality. Because they would also be talking about the fact that Bahamian men don't have rights to their children. You have to pay, but you have no rights to your child. That the single mother has all rights to the child. If this was about gender equality, as it relates to that, they would have been talking about that also. But any man who wants to take care of his child should be allowed to. If he's more fit than the mother, he should be allowed to automatically. He should have equal rights to his child as the mother. But they're not talking about that because this is not about gender equality. They couldn't care less about gender equality. Luby them are pushing this. And you remember I showed you the two newspaper clips where the first one was Luby's organization is Bahamas Rights, Bahamas Nonsense, that they told the government they need to go back to this old bill, the F&M bill, the same bill for nationality, immigration, and asylum. And they said it would benefit the Bahamas. There's nothing in that bill to benefit the Bahamas. Not one thing. And all of a sudden, after they pushed it, all of a sudden the government came and said, we're going back to this nationality bill. And they tested the waters to see how you'll accept it. When they saw everyone had the problem with the asylum part, they said, oh, we're not going to do that asylum part. But there's other parts in there that are just as dangerous. And they want to stick it in there with the gender equality part because they know that you and many people would accept it. But they're going to put some other things in the bill with it. And then they're going to come and lie and say, oh, no, this is straightforward. They can do the first reading, and by the second reading, that is changed. By the third reading, that is changed. And you have F&M and PLP in the House of Assembly. Both of them want this bill to pass. And so what do you think they're going to do? They're going to keep that secret. And by the time as you realize what's going on, you won't even know. You won't even know that they brought this diabolical bill forward. You won't have any idea. And so we got to wake up and we got to wise up because these people have come to take over our country. All right? And so we are calling on every single Bahamian, man, woman, and child. We are calling on you to be there, to stand up for this country. We are trying to save our nation from turning in to this. You see, they're messing with some of our streams. We are trying to save our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to stand with us as we stand for our nation. They are coming to take over. Someone says, yeah, the Chinese is a problem. The Chinese ain't coming to run in your election. They ain't coming to take you over. You had that one gentleman, that Frankie Campbell demon, stand up with his 2 passports, bragging about having 2 passports, which is illegal in the Bahamas, and stood up and bragged. They come in. They come in. Stand with us. We are going to stand up and we're going to defend our nation. We're going to do what it takes to get our country back into control, to take this out of the hands of the corrupt politicians. We got to fix this. We got to fix this. So if anyone has any questions, I'm going to open the lines quickly, and then I have to go to meet with the women. We're going to go to the women. We'll have shirts there at the women's meeting. Some shirts will be there. They'll be on sale for $15. And if we have any shirts left, we'll have them also on Wednesday. You can get your shirts, all right? So we're going to bring some shirts to the meeting. But I'm going to open up the phone lines now. Make sure we can hear when the call comes through. Yeah, we're going to open up the phone line now. What do you have to say about all this? What do you have to say? If you have any questions about what's happening, what's going on, I know there were a lot of people who had a lot of suggestions. Some people like, oh, we need to get this out there to everybody. Put some ad in the paper, put some ad in the news, et cetera, et cetera. Listen, the media doesn't want this out. There's a conspiracy to have this country taken over. There's some people who feel that they're on a level above you, and they feel like they're going to be separate from you, and you're going to be down there with the illegal immigrants. So they feel that that is not their, they don't care. That is not their fight. And so the upper class in this country, they don't care. All you are to them is labor, and all the immigrants are is labor. And so if they can bring more labor in, then so be it. And that's what's happening. So we'll take up your questions, make sure that all your questions are answered and you understand exactly what needs to happen. I'm gonna go to the phone lines. Good afternoon, welcome, you live.
Yeah, Mr. Ben, I have a quick question.
Yes.
I notice in the newspaper like every week they have a notice of Haitians trying to get citizenship, applying for citizenship. If anybody know of any reason, how does that work? I mean, how can that be stopped? Because you got like 8 to 10 people every day, every newspaper come out.
The only way you can stop that is to remove these corrupt governments who are allowing this to happen. It is corruption. There's a lot of buying and selling of our citizenship going on. There's buying and selling of visas going on. Work permits. A lot of this stuff is going on right now because of corruption. The reason this government is allowing this to happen is because they're making so much money from it. Can you imagine they're selling visas right now for $8,000 a head? Did you hear how much people he say coming on those boats? Did you hear how much people he says on the plane? Sorry, coming on the planes every single week, every Tuesday.
And he's pushing for them to apply for citizenship every day. You look in the newspaper, there's 6 to 8 people every single day.
Let me put this in perspective for you. So those corrupt people who are selling visas right now, and this is why they won't close our embassy no matter what's happening. They are making if 160 people. All right, not 160, 260 people are coming through our airports every single week. Right? 260. That's what they say. The plane is coming full. All right? This math is mind-blowing. And the Haitians over there have told us that is $8,000 for the visas or work permits. You know what that number is? That's over $2 million a week. Do you think they're going to just stop that? That's over $2 million a week. All right. That might not have hit home yet to a lot of people. That might not have hit home. That is $108 million a year.
Yeah, big business.
This is huge business, and they will kill to make this happen. This is the money that is paying off. This is helping pay for election. This is paying for everything. This is the blood money that is selling out our nation, and this is why they seem to be above the law. While Bahamians are sitting down, there are Bahamians making this money, and they're politicians.
Yeah.
They're also selling our visas right here in the Bahamas. Right here. Some is being sold in Fox Hill, and some is being sold in Palmdale. Right here in the Bahamas. Starting at $3,000 for the visas. They're selling passports. I've had people at the passport office who have serious concerns. about what is going on. We got to stop this. We got to take this country back under control. That's $108 million.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I can only tell the Bahamians Wednesday, be downtown. That's all we could do. Get out there. Come out in big numbers.
Yes.
And no matter they put up barricades, we got to push them down. We've got to get into our house and let them know what the Bahamian people are thinking. What we will stand for and what we're not going to accept.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for your call.
Stand up. It's time. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. And that's just Bahamas Air. That's just Bahamas Air. That ain't the other flights. So when you add the other flights, you can easily double that number. Now you're up to $200 million. That was just Bahamas Air, I calculated. 260 seats a week. The line's open, 803-5995. Sorry, I didn't have them put the number up. 803-5995 is the number. We're just going to take a few calls. The women are out there. I think they're about to get started. So if you're a woman, you're in Nassau, please join this movement. Nothing happens in any nation without women being on board. 803-5995. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a huge, big money business. And that's why it's like there's no law for the Haitians. Because there's big money in this for the politicians. And they're selling out our country. We got to stand up. So the question is, are you ready to stand up or you can just let this go? You can just pack your children up and just go somewhere else? I don't know what you could do. And lastly, before we go, the situation that happened with the domes was devastating. There are people who could have used those domes. It is ridiculous. Sorry, I can't really go into it. We're out of time. It's ridiculous what is going on. I think I've covered it enough that I could skip over it this time. But we're going to talk about that some more. Now, the government has left it, and now people are coming there and disassembling the domes and just taking them. I call on every Bahamian, go there and take the domes. Go there, take the domes. Don't let the Haitians take them. They're getting everything else. Y'all got blocked out of everything. Y'all didn't get no building supplies. While the illegal immigrants is getting the building supplies. Y'all go disassemble them domes and take them, yeah? What's her name? Jobette Kobe? Let Bahamians take them domes. Let them put the bleach on the mold if there's mold on it and move forward, you know. It's ridiculous. Good afternoon, you're live.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
Excellent. The last caller made a valid point, and something else came across my mind when she mentioned the application for citizenship in the newspaper.
Yes.
But I've been noticing in the newspapers that there are a lot of applications for name changes.
Yes.
There are a whole lot of foreign titles that are trying to change their name to Ferguson, Dean, Knowles, and I think that's a concern too, because I think that one day they will close the 2 pages of deed polls. These individuals trying to switch their names to Damien Hill.
The reason they're doing that is because there's a plot to take us over through the election process that's coming up very shortly, and they don't want you to be able to calculate and see how many Haitians are actually voting. And so they're encouraging them, when they give them their status or whatever, they're encouraging them to change their names.
And so we really have to step up to the plate. I mean, it's like every 5 years, you hope for change. And one thing I can't get is, how could you hope there'll be a change when you're putting people back in power who are not change makers, who have no intention of making change, who are quite satisfied with the system as it is. And it's so ridiculous. I was so disappointed in the last election because of the fact that it ain't like we don't know what we're going to get when we put these same people back in power. But yet we're still doing it. That's all I want to say. So
Yeah, thank
keep
you.
up the good work.
Thank you, man. We
All right,
appreciate
take
your
care.
call. It's like the abusive boyfriend who beats you up and then come and sweet you up when it's time, to get his way. They keep doing it and they keep sweetening us up every election and we keep falling for it. They keep sweetening us up and we keep falling for it, and it makes sense. I don't understand, but I think people are waking up. They didn't see any other hope, and they make you feel that only them and these people, who have a certain amount of history and certain amount of experience can run this country. I do not agree with that. I believe that if we get some people like you've seen in Dubai, like you've seen in Qatar and Kuwait and Norway and Alaska, I believe if you get some people who love this nation, you're going to see a change. Bahamas, I can't go on much longer with this live. I have to go to our women. Ladies and gentlemen, be there with us. Be with us on Wednesday. Be with us on Wednesday. Stand with us. We're going to reveal some things. We're going to say some things out there. Stand with us. If enough of you show up, we're going to demand that they scrap this bill, and we're going to demand that they stop issuing work permits, etc., until further notice. Stop issuing citizenships until further notice, until they can do an investigation to stop this nonsense that is occurring in this country. We are going to demand that. We have to fight for our children. They don't deserve to be left with this struggle because mommy or daddy was worried about a job, making a couple dollars. You have leadership that has sold their soul. And if you don't wake up, this one over. Continue.
Let me just say that I have always been a part of this community. And there's no accident I know how to do all the dancing. Because I always be and share with you. Because you are me and I am you. And I'll be here with you always. And those who knew me from the past and know me now, they always knew that I was there and always been there for you. I don't call you all, no, you all are not Haitians, Bahamians. You are Bahamian, and your origin is Haitian. Mine too, and many of us. We have to stay apart for now so we can be together later. You know now.
Bahamas, we're in trouble. And someone says, ask us if we are against Haitians. We're not against Haitians in any way. We're against illegal immigration. We're against to take over our nation for our people. We're against our culture being thrown away and the culture of another country taking us over. Haitians should stand with us. And I want to thank all the Haitians who call on a daily basis to say that they're standing with us because they don't agree with what Brave and them are doing. Because it was that same kind of corruption that destroyed Haiti. People who don't think about tomorrow. It was that same kind of corruption. We have politicians now who are not thinking about tomorrow. They're thinking about today and making that money now. If we let this country turn into that, I'm going to stand. I'm going to fight. For all of our militiamen, we're starting to organize. It's time to stand up. And so you're going to be getting a call personally from me in short order. That's all I can say about that. There are children who are stuck in the middle of this illegal immigration problem. Because you come here, you have a child, you know that they're going to be stuck in a situation that they should not be in. You know it. You put them in that situation. You know that they won't be able to have a driver's license, be able to do a lot of things to be assimilated into society. You are creating criminals, people who have to live outside of the law. You are doing that to your children. You are coming here and having children because you want to take over. That's why you're doing it. Because you want to take over. But no child should be living in the state that they're living in what we call dog houses or animal houses. No plumbing, no electricity, in the state that they're living in. And so if people care about the humanitarian side of this, why isn't Louis George's them fighting for people to not be living in this condition? For people to be coming over here on a boat to risk their life to live in that? To leave their apartment or house in Haiti and come to live like that? We got so more to discuss with this. Gonna go live again on Tuesday. There's so more to discuss. Make sure you share this live, share all the lives. We got to get the word out. The media has joined forces with this evil government to crush the Bahamian people. They've sold their souls and accepted jobs. Maria, they were trying to court Maria. Recently, the PLP was trying to get Maria, trying to make her an offer. She basically gave them the middle finger. They're trying to court Cara, who's a part of our organization. They offered her free college. They'll pay for a college. They'll give her a job if she goes and work with that band fella, Lee Maria. They offered her all kinds of stuff. And so basically she gave them the middle finger. And they sent persons who are close to me to ask me to meet with Brave. On several occasions since the election, up to, I think, last month, just before that, before I went away. And I essentially gave them the middle finger. There's no one else left to stand up and fight for the Bahamian people. Now, what I want y'all to watch as I close, what I want y'all to watch very carefully is who is not out there. Remember all these people who come up during elections, say they want to run for election, they want to be this, they want you to vote for them? All of them have disappeared? I want you to watch and see if they will be there to stand up for the Bahamian people. If they're not there, they are irrelevant. These people disappear after election, then show up right before election and say, hey, vote for us. Stand up, Bahamas. This is your chance. We will benefit from our natural resources. We will be put first in this country. We will not allow the invasion of our nation. We will not let them to take us over and overthrow us. We are going to stand up. The real Bahamians who love this country, we're going to stand up. The real Bahamians. And the people who may not be Bahamian, who love this country, stand with us. We can't let them destroy this. Ladies and gentlemen, on Wednesday, we are going to be there. You can come out as early as you want. We're going to take our square and we're going to make a change. Don't come by yourself. Bring persons with you. You can wear black. You can wear your t-shirts, whatever you want to wear. But come out and let's be strong. Let's stand strong as Bahamians, as strong Bahamians who realize what's going on. You got one shot at this. Let's make this count. Call in sick. take vacation, take casual days, do what you have to. Let's save this nation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to head to that women's meeting and talk to the people who are going to spark the change. We have women even from America. We're forming groups in America so they can be a part of what we're doing. We're going to spread this movement. All right? So Mrs. Bain, tell them you're not a sellout. I don't know how to sell out. One thing they know about me is I don't sell out. There's nothing they have that I want. I don't need for that. There's nothing they have that I want. If I can have an opportunity to benefit all of our future generations and to benefit us directly, how do you think I'm going to sell that opportunity out? A few people are raping and robbing this country, and we are at the opportunity now where we can make it so that all of our people, our children, are secure based on our natural resources. There's nothing y'all can offer me. I will die before I take your bribe. You can lie on me, scandalize me, you can attempt to kill me, you can do whatever you want. We will stand strong. And you are afraid of us. And that is why you are attacking us. We know you are afraid. Let me tell you something. You better be afraid. Because the Bahamian people have had enough. And we know that change is not coming. That change is here. Ladies and gentlemen, last thing I want to say to you. Yesterday was the birthday of a very special lady, Maria Doxson. We want to say a special happy birthday to you, and God bless you for everything that you do for the Bahamian people. They will never know how hard you work, even pro bono sometimes for the Bahamian people. Got to go out with her and Charlotte to the movies last night. We enjoyed it, and so we want to thank you for everything that you do, ladies and gentlemen. We go live again on Tuesday at 8 p.m. We change the time to 8 p.m. And we're looking forward to seeing all of you. Take your sick leave, take whatever. Take your lunch break early and come out. And if enough of us come out, we're going to have that change immediately. We know exactly how to do it. And we have the courage to get it done. So, ladies and gentlemen, I got to leave. I got to hit the streets. I got to go address our ladies. And so if I go back live, you can join us from there. I may go live when I'm speaking, and I may not. But make sure that you are there on Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, change is not coming. Change is here. See you next time.
And the Bahamians aren't prepared to stand up and fight and defend their own Bahamas, then you don't deserve to have it.
Now let that sink in. Come on. Change ain't coming, change is here. You can hear it, you can feel it in the air. All politicians, put your hands in the air. Just a stick up, let me make myself clear. I'm a grown man talking, so you know what to do. No one's leaving till we figure out the truth. Why you laughing? This ain't nothing funny. So no one gets to go home till we figure out this money. Change ain't coming, change is here. They say change ain't coming, but change is here. They say change ain't coming, but change is here. They say change ain't coming, nigga, change is here. Now if you ain't standing with us, then I know you against us. Bahamas, this ain't no time for us to be lukewarm. This is war, and we riding through the storm. Come on. Let's go, shalom to all my Hebrew brothers. To all my Muslim and Rastas, we need you, brother. Selassie, I know, I can't forget the Christians. Let's put our differences aside, cause it's a bigger mission. See, they've been doing this for years, trying to separate us. Kinda trying to keep us down and never elevate us. Now it's time to praise the Lord, cause he's about to take us over to the promised land where we can celebrate us. I got to do it for my kids that ain't even born yet. So the minute that they born, they already gotta check that check. Gotta have that time to collect, so they won't know how it feels to have that yoke around their neck, yeah. See, y'all been robbing my grandmother, my great-great-grandmother and grandfather. It's like y'all can't get enough. Y'all just keep eating and giving us nothing but taxes. Y'all went even as far as to say that this country's in debt and we ain't got no money. When 9 times out of 10, everybody in this country's possibly a millionaire. It's time to wake up. Let's talk about natural resources, cause every time we bring it up, they say hold your horses. They say it ain't worth a thing, but it's worth a fortune. Meanwhile, they open up their businesses across the borders. Oh yes, we track their bank accounts across the waters. They say this country in debt, but they making millions. If we don't stop this now, they be up to billions. It's about to go down and I get the feeling we gotta cut a movie on these dirty villains. Sonus Lincoln Bain and his team came with information. It's like everything changed, everything went quiet. It's like so much facts and they can't deny it. They rather keep their mouths shut before they start a riot. Now look how they tryna just steal the oil. They don't wanna share with none of y'all. They been robbing us while we were sleeping. Send them to jail cause they failed, they committed treason. Change ain't coming. They say change ain't coming. The change is here. They say change ain't coming. The change is here. They say change ain't coming. The change is here. Listen, from Freeport to Nassau all the way to Nawa. There's no more time for us to sit back and be quiet. You understand? This is war. If they only knew who we were, if they only know who we are, they would know we are warriors. No retreat, no surrender. Just give us what you owe us. Bless the Lord, oh my soul. I feel this all the way to my ancestors. We are warriors. We only really want what's owed to us. You get it? Now free up.
Yeah.
As I sit here before you today, there's a couple in there.
Yeah, I know.
That I would wish.
I know some of them.
I would wish to stay out of their ambit.
Yeah. Stay far.
Okay? When you call them on the phone, they hang up on you.
Yeah.
Even though you walk the streets with them. And some of them like to lie.
Yes.
I hate a lie. I told one the other day. He called me, say, somebody said, you called me a liar. I said, you want me to say it again? I said, you are a liar. I said, and guess what? Leslie Miller never campaigned with you again as long as breath in my body.
Jesus.
I said, I mean that from here to Christ. Because you claim to be a man of the word. Can't happen.
My Lord.
I don't like liars. And I always tell them, you should never be above those who you represent. You cannot be better than the people who put you where you are to act on their behalf. I did some of the attitude some of them got.
Yeah.
It's scary. It scares me. And it scares the consistency. I get a lot of calls. People call me every day because I don't know why. My lady called me this morning at 7:30.
Mr. Miller got the Prime Minister.
I said, Mr. Miller, you been to my house. I said, I've been there just for plenty of hours. So what you talking about? I said, what is the MP? Mr. Miller, I know he wasn't going to be no good. I tell you he wasn't going to be no good. You tell me.
Give him a chance.
He's a good fella, gave him a break. So my house voted for him. I said, yeah, so now you got to carry my load. My daughter need to get sorted out. I can't even call the damn fella.
Jesus. See, I keep telling people that a lot of them don't believe this, but I challenged the PLPs. I challenged the PLPs on this show right here last week to give me a call on these things that are happening, especially with the situation as far as citizenship is concerned. And not one of them could call me. They can't call because, as the fella said to me on the show, he says, Steve, they're all compromised. These are dumb dogs. And I say, what you say?
Call them what?
He say, these are dumb dogs. I say, what do you mean by that? He says, that's in the Bible,
That's
man.
scripture.
Yeah, it is.
They're dumb dogs. They are so compromised, they can't even call to say anything about that particular grouping or party because they are dumb dogs.
Listen.
I was like, my Lord.
I will tell you this
And
afternoon.
that is what is actually happening because they're not going to call.
Some things can happen in this country. As time goes by, the first anniversary is next month. I think Mr. Davis has done a commendable job. He got love in his heart for the Bahamian people. If you ask me an honest question,